LeBron got for his part in the team's lack of success last year. Rondo did some things that didn't bring a lot of honor to the franchise, sitting on the bench with the stands in the middle of a blowout. Yeah. But he's been instrumental to their success. I have to imagine they would want to bring him back, if only for the reason that he is a bridge between LeBron James and Anthony Davis. He has an independent relationship with Anthony, as does LeBron, and it gives them another voice in that locker room, another strong perspective from experience. Think back to the most pivotal moment in these playoffs for the Lakers. Anthony Davis hitting the game winner at the end of the conference finals game 2 against Denver. The only reason that happens is Rajon Rondo checks himself into the game and is the trigger man. And if it was someone else, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope passing that ball in or anybody else, they would feel the pressure to run the play and get it to LeBron James.
Right.
But Rajon Rondo made the correct basketball play, found an open Anthony Davis, and the Lakers used that to get their momentum all the way to the NBA Finals.
Well, look, it's all about what the market is for a player. Like, with that player option, the Lakers are going to keep him because he's undervalued right there. I'm saying, like, he's a very, very good bargain. So I think it's up to Rondo and what he wants. Like, this is at a time in his career where, if they're fortunate enough to win the championship and he's accomplished that, he's accomplished pretty much everything that you can accomplish. So it just depends on what type of role he wants to be in.
It's so crazy, though, when you think back to just a few years ago, you were on the Dallas team that asked him to leave during the playoffs.
Well, asking him, telling him, like there's a range. And look, I stand by this. Like, I love being Rondo's teammate. Extremely intelligent, hard worker, wants to win. And so I understand where there was a little bit of a conflict there, but I think he's where he wants to be. And I'm not going to lie. Even when we were playing in Dallas, he wanted to be in L.A. He said that when we were in Dallas. Okay. He's been saying it for years. So I think he's found a home. Just a matter of not if he wants to stay here.
And look, we talk so much about Jimmy Butler and fit. It's just the truth. And I say it all the time, right? The top 10% of guys in the league could play anywhere. The bottom 10% of guys in the league probably shouldn't play anywhere.
Yeah.
But that middle 80%, they either maximize or not, depending on fit. Rajon Rondo has a great fit with those players and this team.
I mean, after LeBron and Anthony Davis, who's been the third most impactful player for the Lakers this postseason run? I would say Rondo. Obviously, he wasn't there for the first round against Portland, coming back from back spasms and that broken thumb. But ever since the Houston series on forwards, he has been so instrumental. And it's not just that play against Denver. It is the way he's gotten Markieff Morris going in the second unit, their camaraderie together.
Yeah.
And then it's quite frankly, the voice that he has in film sessions. I was told by a team source yesterday the Lakers had an off day, but they still had a team film session. And the two most vocal players, LeBron James, Rajon Rondo, both being very intense and engaged, according to a source.
Well, yeah.
All right, well, I want to get to another guy on the roster who's had his career certainly changed over the course of this season, Dwight Howard, right? Huge compliment from former Laker, Meta World Peace. He's always going to be Ron Artest to me, sorry. Coach Vogel did a great job giving Dwight some shine as a starter. L.A., we put Dwight through a lot in his first stint. He had back surgery. We still bashed him. He had a disc the size of a flat softball removed from his back. Anyway, this is great to cement his legacy. Dwight replied to this piece to thank him. It was a pretty nice moment, right? And for our younger viewers, right? Should we just share?
Just share.
If you don't know who Ron Artest is, starter, of course, for that last Laker title team back in 2010. Much like Dwight in the present, he had a very, let's just say, difficult path to get to that point. Yeah. That title was a bit of a redemption story, right, for him. And look at Dwight's career path. He began on that Hall of Fame trajectory with the Orlando Magic right here in this city, 2004 to 2012. He was the one who led them to their last finals appearance in 2009. Of course, all those Defensive Player of the Year awards in 2012 traded to the Lakers. That one-year experiment to play with Kobe, Pau Gasol, and Steve Nash did not work. Signed with the Rockets in 2013. Did not work with James Harden either. Dwight bounced around from team after team after that. Did not work. I could just keep saying that over and over again until he got to that non-guaranteed deal at the start of this season. Dwight, I'm so fascinated by the parallel between him and Ron, and you covered that team. How do you see Dwight, if he is able to win a title, starting in the NBA Finals?
It was a disaster of a season. I can't underscore that enough. And Dwight Howard was a huge part of it. It was oil and water between him and Kobe Bryant, the stage of their career, their approach to life in general. But quite frankly, Dwight didn't get enough credit for the way he played through injuries. I saw a picture of that disc that Ron is referring to. It was gruesome. And he played through that. He played through a torn labrum that season. But the maturity side wasn't there. This year, he's a different guy. He's a breath of fresh air. And he's stayed by his word from the start. He said, I want to earn it. Don't give me a guaranteed contract. Let me prove that I am as important to this franchise as this franchise is to me in this stage of my life. And here he was, even before the bubble started. He had some reservations about coming down here. The mother of one of his children passed away during the hiatus, and that's a tough thing to deal with. But he wanted to see through his commitment to the franchise, and here he is, a starter on a team that's one win away from the finals, from the championship.
Yeah, and it's so impressive because he knew what he had to do. And I think a lot of those stops that he had over the course of those years, he always felt like it wasn't his fault or there were things that could have been handled differently. But I think when he got here, he focused on himself. What can I do to help? Versus like, hey, I want to come here. I need post touches. I need points. I need minutes. I need all of these different things because that's who I am. It's like, hey, I get here and I want to see how I can help. And look, we saw it also this year with Carmelo Anthony. Taking a step back from like what you once were and getting to a spot of I just want to play this game that I love and I want to contribute to a good team. And Dwight was so impressive this year. Look at what he did last round against Jokic. He was a huge reason why the Lakers were able to play and advance in that series. So I'm extremely happy for him. And I think this is a lesson to a lot of guys. As they get older, you got to change your mindset, and then you'll get the success that you want.
And I think it's so interesting, too, when we talk about quote-unquote redemption.